From ancient rituals involving humble grains to today's towering, edible masterpieces, the wedding cake has undergone a remarkable transformation, reflecting shifts in culture, technology, and societal values. What began as a simple symbol of fertility and good fortune has evolved into a centerpiece of celebration, a canvas for artistic expression, and a delicious reflection of a couple's unique style. This journey through time reveals not only the surprising origins of a beloved tradition, but also the fascinating stories and hidden meanings baked into every slice. The story of the wedding cake stretches back further than many might imagine, originating not in grand kitchens, but in ancient ceremonies focused on blessings and communal participation. Our historical expedition commences in ancient Rome, where the wedding cake bore little resemblance to the sweet confections we know today. A simple loaf of wheat or barley bread, sometimes referred to as mustaceum or honey cake, played a central dramatic role. This bread was not primarily intended for consumption and celebration, but rather for a ritualistic act. It was broken ceremoniously over the bride's head. The purpose behind this act was deeply symbolic, designed to bestow fertility and abundant good fortune upon the newlyweds. Following the breaking of the bread, guests would eagerly scramble to collect the scattered crumbs, believing that these fragments held powerful good luck. A pivotal part of the Roman ceremony was known as conferiatio, a solemn rite where the bride and groom would share a few crumbs of the bread together. This act symbolized their commitment to a shared future and was considered the final formal step in solidifying their union. Interestingly, in lieu of modern confetti, Romans would shower the happy couple with confetto, a mix of nuts, dried fruits, and honeyed almonds, a practice that directly links to today's celebratory tosses. This early Roman practice highlights a fascinating evolution. The wedding confection's role was initially rooted in a purely ritualistic act, focused on symbolic blessing rather than culinary pleasure. The emphasis was on the performance of the act and its inherent meaning, rather than the taste or visual appeal of the bread itself. This stands in stark contrast to the elaborate, delicious, and visually stunning cakes we see today, indicating a profound shift in how these traditions serve societal needs, moving from basic fertility rites to grand celebrations of status and shared joy. The Roman custom of guests collecting crumbs for good luck established a foundational element that would echo through centuries. Later traditions, such as finding a ring hidden within a bride's pie or pulling charms from a modern wedding cake, directly descend from this early concept of guests receiving or discovering good fortune through the wedding confection. This demonstrates a consistent underlying theme throughout wedding cake history: the integration of guests into the couple's good fortune, often through interactive or predictive elements associated with the celebratory food. The Romans were not unique in their use of symbolic foods at weddings. Other ancient civilizations also incorporated special baked goods into their marriage ceremonies, further illustrating the deep cultural significance of food and rites of passage. In ancient Greece, for instance, a sesame seed and honey cake was traditionally served to the bride and groom. Sesame, in particular, was believed to promote fertility, and the couple's well wishes for a fruitful union were further emphasized by showering them with dates and nuts. Even in ancient Egypt, early forms of cake existed, dating back to around 20 to 50 BCE. Bakers during the reign of Pepi II created honey-sweetened cakes made from wheat flour and milk, often cooked in covered molds. These confections were more than just food. They symbolized the renewal of life and were featured not only in rituals, but also in the afterlife, with one such cake even found intact in an Egyptian tomb after 4,000 years. The presence of symbolic cakes or confections in ancient Roman, Greek, and Egyptian wedding rituals suggests a deep, cross-cultural human tendency to mark significant life events, particularly marriage, with special foods. Despite geographical separation and distinct cultural practices, the common themes of fertility, prosperity, and renewal are consistently linked to these edible elements. This implies that the wedding cake isn't just a Western invention, but a manifestation of a fundamental human need to imbue transitions with tangible, often edible, symbols of hope and good fortune. As centuries passed, the wedding confection continued its fascinating evolution, taking on new forms and surprising purposes. Fast forward to medieval England, and the wedding cake tradition takes a delightfully quirky turn. The focus shifted from smashing bread to an architectural challenge involving baked goods. At medieval English weddings, guests would bring small spiced buns or sweet rolls, which were then stacked into an imposing tower. The newlywed couple would then attempt a daring feat. They had to lean over the tall stack and kiss without causing the buns to topple. Successful kiss was believed to guarantee a lifetime of prosperity and good luck for the couple. This tradition introduces an element of playfulness and public performance into the wedding ritual. It was no longer solely about passively receiving a blessing, but about demonstrating unity and skill in a shared public act. This performative aspect foreshadows later elements of the wedding cake ceremony, such as the cutting of the cake, and highlights a growing trend towards integrating entertainment and shared experience into the celebration. Furthermore, the act of stacking buns as high as possible represents a rudimentary form of a tiered cake. While not structurally refined like later designs, it reveals an early human desire for grandeur and visual impact in wedding confections. The height itself became a symbol of aspirational prosperity. This custom is even credited with inspiring the iconic French croquembouche, a magnificent tower of cream puffs, when a visiting pastry chef observed the English tradition. Prepare for a truly surprising twist in the narrative of wedding cakes. In 16th and 17th century Britain, the bride's pie reigned supreme, and it was decidedly not sweet. This was a large, often elaborately decorated savory pastry, filled with an astonishing array of ingredients that would raise eyebrows today. Imagine a pie containing oysters, lamb testicles, sweetbreads, coxcombs, pine kernels, prawns, and various spiced meats. Some recipes even ventured into the realm of aphrodisiacs, incorporating ingredients like sweet potatoes and cock sparrow brains. Perhaps the most shocking element was the inclusion of a central compartment within some elaborate bride's pies, filled with live birds or even a snake. These living surprises were intended to pass away the time when the pie was cut at the table, providing a moment of unexpected entertainment for the guests. It was considered extremely impolite and even bad luck to refuse a slice of this unique wedding offering. A common practice involved hiding a ring inside the pie, with the belief that the guest who discovered it would be the next to marry. This tradition bears a striking resemblance to the modern custom of tossing the bouquet, demonstrating a continuous thread of fortune-telling and interactive guest engagement revolving around the wedding confection. While the specific medium and charm evolved, the underlying desire to involve guests in predicting future marital status or luck remained a consistent theme. Over time, a gradual shift began, with some pies starting to incorporate sweeter fillings like dried fruits, nuts, and mincemeat. The prevalence of savory, often gruesome fillings in the bride's pie directly contradicts modern expectations of a sweet wedding cake. This highlights a significant historical divergence in culinary purpose. The inclusion of live animals further emphasizes that the pie's function was not solely about taste or even just symbolic consumption, but about spectacle, entertainment, and a form of performance art at the wedding feast. This reveals a cultural context where elements of surprise and even shock were valued alongside symbolic meaning. Rather than solely focusing on refined culinary pleasure, the gradual shift to sweeter treats, from pie to cake. Thankfully for modern palates, the savory bride's pie eventually began its transformation. By the late 17th and early 18th centuries, it gradually gave way to what became known as the bride's cake. These early bride's cakes were denser than today's light sponges, often made as spiced breads or fruit cakes. Ingredients like dried fruit, nuts, and spices were still prominent, continuing to symbolize fertility and prosperity, much like their ancient predecessors. A notable characteristic of these early cakes was their heavy and durable nature. This was partly a practical necessity, as few households possessed their own ovens, meaning these cakes might be baked weeks in advance on a communal hearth. This highlights a direct cause and effect relationship between available baking technology and the characteristics of the wedding confection. The need for preservation dictated the ingredients and preparation methods, demonstrating how material constraints influence the evolution of culinary traditions, pushing bakers to innovate within their technological limits. During this period, it was initially common for two distinct cakes to be made, one for the bride and a separate, usually smaller, darker, and uniced fruit cake for the groom. The groom's cake was often cut into small pieces and given to guests as a memento, sometimes even placed under pillows for good luck. This tradition of a separate groom's cake quickly faded, with the bride's cake becoming the singular, central confection. The shift from two cakes to one signifies a consolidation of tradition and the increasing centrality of the bride in the wedding narrative. This suggests a broader societal trend where the wedding ceremony, its central symbols, became increasingly focused on the bride as the primary figure of celebration and representation of purity and fertility. The cake became the bride's cake as the main event, reflecting a shift in emphasis within the wedding narrative itself. The 17th century marked a pivotal turning point, as the availability of a new ingredient began to reshape the future of wedding confections: sugar. The 17th century witnessed a flourishing sugar trade, particularly in England, making sugar increasingly accessible across Europe. This newfound abundance of sugar was a direct economic driver behind the evolution of the sweet wedding cake. As sugar became more refined, it also became whiter, and pure white icing quickly emerged as a staple for wedding cakes. This white icing served a dual purpose. It symbolized the bride's purity and virginity, a notion strongly emphasized in Victorian times, but it also became a powerful status symbol. The whiter and more refined the sugar, the more expensive it was, allowing families to display their wealth and social standing through their cake's pristine appearance. This demonstrates how socioeconomic factors directly influence aesthetic trends and symbolic meanings attached to celebratory foods. As sugar became more prevalent, bakers began using it to create more intricate designs. The bride's cake started to evolve into the multi-tiered decorated cakes we recognize today. By the mid-18th century, a new technique emerged: double icing, involving a layer of almond icing followed by a layer of white icing. This white-iced surface became a platform for elaborate three-dimensional scenes and emblems, showcasing advancements in baking techniques driven by aesthetic desires. The wedding of Queen Victoria to Prince Albert in 1840 is often credited as a monumental turning point in the history of the modern wedding cake. Her wedding cake was nothing short of spectacular, a massive, multi-tiered confection weighing over 300 pounds and measuring an incredible 10 feet in circumference. It was lavishly decorated with elaborate icing, beautiful sugar flowers, and even busts of the royal couple on the top tier. Queen Victoria's wedding was a catalyst for the widespread adoption of the elaborate tiered cake. This event powerfully demonstrates the influence of royal and celebrity figures in shaping popular trends. What was once a luxury item for the elite became an aspirational symbol for couples across the country. The sheer scale and intricate artistry of her cake also highlighted the growing capabilities of bakers and the increasing societal desire for grand, visually impressive displays at weddings. The Victorian era truly solidified the wedding cake's role as a symbol of wealth, social status, and artistic achievement. Cakes became increasingly elaborate, adorned with intricate lace-like decorations made of icing, delicate sugar flowers, and detailed figurines. Marzipan continued to be used as a base layer, providing a smooth canvas for these ornate designs. Common decorations included symbols of fertility, love, and good fortune, such as hearts, doves, and flowers. The white color of the cake remained popular, reinforcing the symbolism of purity and innocence. Victorian cakes were characterized by their rich flavors and ornate decorations, often incorporating elements like ruffles, intricate piping, and a soft pastel color palette including blush pinks, mint greens, and lavender. Fresh flowers like roses, peonies, and violets were also popular adornments, adding natural beauty and fragrance. Satin ribbons and silver accents further elevated the sophistication, lending a regal air to these opulent creations. The emphasis on intricate detail and specific symbolism shows a move towards highly stylized and meaningful aesthetics. This shift from purely functional aspects like preservation to highly decorative elements reflects an increasing disposable income and artistic ambition within the baking profession. The 20th century ushered in an era of unprecedented innovation. Driven by technological advancements and changing societal demands, making wedding cakes more accessible and diverse than ever before, the Industrial Revolution and subsequent technological advancements served as primary drivers of both accessibility and design complexity in wedding cakes. The introduction of baking powder in the 19th century, for example, transformed dense, yeast-based cakes into the lighter, fluffier textures we associate with modern cakes, fundamentally changing their appeal. This was a significant leap from earlier methods that relied on yeast or laborious hand-beating of eggs for leavening. Further innovations in oven technology, such as precise temperature control, allowed bakers to achieve consistent results, ensuring even baking and preventing over- or undercooking. The development of various cake molds and pans, along with specialized sculpting tools, fondants, smoothers, and even airbrush machines, provided confectioners with an expanded toolkit for intricate and customized designs. The introduction of refrigeration in the 1920s was another game-changer, allowing for the use of more delicate ingredients and enabling even more elaborate designs. As cakes could remain fresh for longer periods, mass production techniques, stemming from the Industrial Revolution, also played a crucial role in making wedding cakes more affordable and widely accessible to a broader range of social classes. This clear cause-and-effect relationship between technology and culinary evolution democratized the wedding cake, transforming it from an exclusive luxury to a staple of most wedding celebrations. As the 20th century progressed, wedding cakes continued to evolve in both design and flavor profiles. The classic white cake became standardized, symbolizing purity and elegance. The advent of modern icing techniques, including the widespread use of fondant, buttercream, and ganache, allowed for even more intricate and creative designs, providing smooth, flawless finishes and enabling complex patterns. While vanilla and fruit-flavored cakes remained popular through the 1950s and 60s, societal tastes began to diversify significantly. Couples started to explore beyond traditional options, flavors like chocolate, red velvet, and lemon gaining prominence. The latter half of the century and into the 21st saw an explosion of unique and personalized flavors, including matcha, champagne-infused cakes, salted caramel, and Nutella. This evolution of flavors reflects changing societal tastes and increasing global influences. The move beyond traditional fruitcake indicates a prioritization of personal preference and culinary diversity over strict adherence to historical norms. Furthermore, regional variations emerged within the United States, with New England favoring Boston cream pie, the West Coast embracing fresh, seasonal ingredients, and the Midwest leaning towards buttercream and German chocolate. The continuous pursuit of aesthetic perfection and versatility is evident in the rise of new icing techniques and the use of sugar flowers and intricate piping. Throughout history, royal and celebrity weddings have consistently driven trends and pushed the boundaries of wedding cake design and extravagance. The 20th century saw even grander displays. Queen Elizabeth II's 1947 wedding cake, nicknamed the 10,000-mile cake, due to ingredients flown in from across the Commonwealth, was a staggering 9 feet tall and weighed around 500 pounds. Prince Charles and Princess Diana's 1981 cake took 14 weeks to prepare. Beyond British royalty, Princess Grace Kelly of Monaco's 1956 wedding cake featured a cage with live turtle doves that Prince Rainier released with his sword, and a revolving miniature of the couple playing songs. Elvis and Priscilla Presley's 6-layer cake cost a then-whopping $3,200. Lucy Baines Johnson, daughter of President Lyndon B. Johnson, had an 8-foot-tall, 13-tiered cake weighing around 300 pounds. These iconic cakes highlight the performative and storytelling aspects of wedding confections, making them more than just food. They become cultural artifacts. The shift seen in modern royal weddings, such as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's choice of an elderflower and lemon cake over the traditional fruitcake, demonstrates how contemporary couples challenge established norms, even within the most traditional institutions. Despite centuries of evolution, certain core traditions surrounding the wedding cake have endured, adapting their form and meaning over time while new trends continue to emerge. The act of cutting the wedding cake together remains one of the most iconic and anticipated moments of a wedding reception. This ritual symbolizes the couple's first collaborative task as a married unit, signifying their cooperation and commitment to sharing their future. In many cultures, the couple also feeds each other a bite of cake, a gesture of love, and a promise to provide for one another. Historically, the cake was intended to be distributed by the bride alone to ensure fertility, but as cakes grew in size, the groom's assistance became necessary. Reflecting changing gender roles and a more egalitarian partnership, this powerful symbolic act has persisted for centuries, adapting its meaning from ancient Roman concepts of dominance to modern notions of shared responsibility and unity. It underscores the enduring human need for ritual and marking significant life changes. Another well-known tradition involves saving the top tier of the wedding cake. Historically, this tier was preserved for the christening of the couple's first child. This practice was rooted in the dense, long-lasting nature of traditional fruitcakes, which could be kept fresh for extended periods. Queen Elizabeth II's 1947 wedding cake, for example, had a tier saved for Prince Charles's christening. Today, while the christening tradition still exists, it is more commonly observed by couples who freeze and enjoy their top tier on their first wedding anniversary, a practice that evokes warm memories of their special day. The modern shift to saving the tier for an anniversary also reflects changing family planning norms and the increasing desire to celebrate the marital journey itself. The charming tradition of placing small tokens or charms within the wedding cake dates back to Victorian times. These charms, such as a ring, thimble, coin, or boot, were baked directly into the cake, and their discovery by guests was believed to foretell their future fortunes. Today, for safety and practicality, charms are typically placed under the bottom tier with ribbons attached, allowing guests to pull a ribbon and receive their fortune, often accompanied by a keepsake card explaining its meaning. This tradition is a fascinating example of folkloric belief and entertainment integrated into the wedding celebration. Its evolution from baked-in to ribbon pull demonstrates adaptation for safety and practicality while retaining the core element of fortune-telling and guest engagement. While the multi-tiered white cake is iconic in many Western cultures, the concept of a celebratory wedding confection is truly global. It's manifesting in a dazzling array of forms and flavors. This diversity highlights that while the form varies wildly, the underlying purpose of symbolic food for unity, prosperity, and celebration is universal. In France, the croque-moche, meaning crunch in the mouth, is a magnificent tower of cream-filled profiteroles held together by spun sugar or caramel. It symbolizes prosperity and the sweetness of married life, and its origin is even linked to the English stacked bun tradition. In Scandinavia, the kransekake is an elegant wreath cake made of concentric rings of almond, sugar, and egg whites, forming a steep-sloped cone. It is often decorated with white icing and flags. In Germany and Japan, the Baumkuchen, or tree cake, is a traditional German spit cake characterized by its distinctive concentric rings, resembling tree rings. In China, traditional Cantonese tuile cakes are small, colorful round cakes, often given as dowry gifts before the wedding, available in red, yellow, and white. Their fillings also carry special meanings. In Nigeria, wedding cakes symbolize not just the union of two individuals, but the coming together of two families. In India, gulab jamun, soft cardamom dough balls drenched in rose or saffron syrup, are a delicious, traditional Indian wedding dessert, symbolizing joy, togetherness, and generosity. Other global delights: the millefoglie in Italy, bizcocho di queso, guayaba in Puerto Rico, prinsesstärte in Sweden, tiak in Korea, sakotis in Lithuania, tres leches cake in Mexico, and keklepes in Indonesia all showcase the incredible variety and cultural adaptation of wedding confections worldwide. The modern wedding cake scene is characterized by unparalleled personalization and artistic innovation, often influenced by popular culture and social media platforms like Pinterest and Instagram. Today's couples are drawing inspiration from history while embracing new ideas and technologies to create cakes that are both visually stunning and delicious. Current trends reflect a move towards individuality and a departure from strict formality. Oversized and unique shapes, cakes are becoming larger and taking on unexpected forms. From asymmetrical designs to towering multi-tiered creations that can be as tall as the couple, table runner cakes, long slabs of cake covering a catering table, are also gaining popularity. Expansive cake vignettes. The cake is often integrated into elaborate displays, surrounded by trailing ribbons, cascading fruit, flickering candles, and luxurious linens, transforming the cake table into a true centerpiece. Vintage revival. Nostalgia is strong. The the 80s-style cake toppers and classic tiered designs with dividers making a comeback. Drip cakes, characterized by glossy ganache or caramel dripping down the sides. These cakes offer a playful and customizable aesthetic, often topped with sweets, fruits, or chocolates. Diverse flavors and dietary options, beyond classic vanilla or fruitcake. Couples now choose from an extensive array of flavors, including red velvet, chocolate, lemon, matcha, and champagne-infused options. There's also an increasing demand for gluten-free, vegan, and allergen-friendly cakes to accommodate all guests. As for alternative desserts, many couples are opting for non-traditional dessert options or supplementing their cake with elaborate dessert tables featuring cupcakes, macarons, dessert shooters, pies, tarts, and even donut displays. Social media acts as a major accelerant for these trends, allowing for the rapid dissemination of new ideas and inspiring couples to personalize their celebrations in unprecedented ways. In conclusion, the wedding cake, in its myriad forms, has journeyed through millennia, transforming from ancient grains broken for fertility into the magnificent, often personalized centerpieces of today's celebrations. Its history is a rich tapestry woven with threads of ritual, social status, technological innovation, and evolving tastes. From Roman bread smashing to medieval bun stacking, from curious savory pies with live birds to Queen Victoria's towering sugar masterpiece, each era has left its indelible mark. What remains constant, however, is the cake's enduring power as a symbol. It represents unity, prosperity, good fortune, and the shared sweetness of a new life together. The traditions surrounding it, the ceremonial cutting, the feeding of each other, the saving of a tear, and even the playful charms continue to connect couples to a lineage of love stories stretching back through time. As baking techniques advance and global influences converge, the wedding cake will undoubtedly continue to evolve. Yet at its heart, it will always be more than just dessert. It is a delicious, visual testament to love, a shared moment of joy, a timeless tradition that brings people together to celebrate one of life's most cherished unions.